Welcome back to Media7. As I noted at the top of the show, this is Maori Language Week. It's also 25 years since New Zealand Post tolls operator Neither Glavish was demoted for greeting callers with kia ora. Wouldn't happen now. In this week's Take Two, Sarah Daniel charts the march of te reo into the mainstream.
Up until 1984, it was definitely not ka pai to speak te reo.
Why does this rule out kia ora then?
Well, of course, in a busy toll situation where operators are handling 30 to 40 calls an hour and manual exchanges 200 calls an hour, they don't even use good morning, good afternoon or good evening, let alone kia ora. Their job is
Whoops,
to connect.
he's caught in the headlights and about to contradict himself.
Most operators do say hello, good morning, g'day. Why not
Well, you
kia
say
ora?
most, they do it the whole time. As far as kia ora is concerned, I think we've got to be a little bit sensitive in relation to the situation that we have in some of our large toll rooms, such as in Auckland, where I understand, and I've been told there are about 10 different nationalities employed there. Got the big Polynesian
It
population.
was New Zealand 1984, a time of big hair, fast cars and bullshit. Like this politician, from the land of the wrong white crowd.
Surely there can be no argument over other languages. I mean, when all said and done, Maori is our native tongue.
Well, that is for sure. But let me say, if anything good comes out of this, I hope it is the fact that from tonight on, we will have a courtesy kia ora campaign, where right throughout New Zealand, in hotels and businesses, from private telephones, government departments, they can all start using the traditional greeting kia ora.
Māori was made an official language of New Zealand under the Māori Language Act 1987. So how far have we come? From not being able to say kia ora to visiting any whaka you want. And an Aussie airline had the bare-faced cheek to hijack a Māori song.
Haere mai, everything is ka pai.
Sarah Daniel there. Joining me now to look where we've come and at the road ahead are Neither Glavish herself,
Kia ora.
Dr Hone Ka, and Māori Television's Head of News and Current Affairs, Wena Harawira. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koe, kia ora.
Neither, do you remember that interview?
Absolutely, like it happened yesterday.
What happened next?
Muldoon came back from overseas, and of course Ray Talbot was the Postmaster General. He was also the Minister of Tourism, and he couldn't make a decision because it would jeopardise one or the other of his hats. So Muldoon came back from overseas, and he says, I've been overseas deciding the economics of this country, and I come back here and some girl wants to say kia ora. Well, as far as I'm concerned, she can say kia ora so long as she don't say g'day blue. That was it. 4 days, it was all over.
What was that like for you, having taken that stand to suddenly be on the national news?
Well, it wasn't intended to be on the national news. It was an issue of principle. And kia ora is a salutation indigenous to this country. And my statement with tolls at that time was that anyone who felt that they belonged to this country had a right to use it. And they still insisted on good morning, good afternoon and good evening.
Do you think things changed from that point onwards, though?
Well, I have to say yes, because in 1987, Māori language became an official, and I suspect the only official language in the country, even today.
We've got 3, I think.
Oh, okay. And so, yes, we have. We've got Te Karere came online, our Māori Kohanga Reo came online, our Kura Kaupapa, and then, of course, we have Māori Television. So we've made some leaps and strides, but we still don't think it's the ideal yet.
Hone, you grew up in quite different times. I'm guessing you're old enough to have been forbidden to speak Māori at school. Was that the case?
Me and Nada, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, you're on your age
we
by
grew
yourself.
Up with it. She's trying to hide it, but yeah, you're right. We were told at primary school not to use our language. anywhere in the playground or anywhere in the classroom. And what was odd was that including the Maori teachers were included in that. And if we were caught using our language, we were strapped. And quite severely too at school. To the point where parents decided they would not speak Maori to their children at all, even in the village in which I grew up. Our house was different because our parents they insisted they spoke both languages to us. And if you asked the question in Māori, you answered it in Māori. And if you asked the question in English, you answered in English. And it had to be, your English had to be as impeccable as your Māori.
Your father had a real love of language, didn't he?
Well, he did. He loved Shakespeare. And in the middle of the cow shit and everything else, we got quoted Shakespeare. So Hamlet became part of our cow dung language. And along with that, there was haka, and it just happened. It didn't matter what language we utilised, as long as you were good at it and you could maintain it, you were encouraged to use either language.
How long was it before you heard Maori spoken on the radio, say?
Oh, God. Well, I was young when I heard it. It was, the Burungata was one of the first I heard that read the Maori news at, I think it was 6 o'clock on a Sunday night. Yeah. And that was, I think, a 5-minute segment. And everybody listened to that. And then it gradually got to the point where you got 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. The steps forward have been small, and that's the way they'll always be, I guess, small.
And now when, of course, we have Maori television, which there can be no greater symbol of the extent to which things have changed. You're 5 years into that journey. How's it gone? What do you think you've achieved so far?
A measure of cultural inspiration for both Māori and Pākehā. And it's also managed to show us where exactly Māori and Pākehā are in our cultural landscape. For instance, we have far more non-Māori watching Māori television than Māori. I always check our ratings for news, for instance, to see how many Māori are actually watching. They're still pretty low. And, but meanwhile, non-Māori ratings, audience rate numbers are just shooting up. So we're obviously doing a lot of programming that people want to watch. And, for instance, foreign films and documentaries are very popular on Māori television. But at the same time, we've got programs like a karaoke contest called Ho Mai Te Pakipaki, which, and Code, for instance, which is a sports panel. And those are enormously popular programs to the bewilderment sometimes and natural surprise of our program makers.
You worked briefly for BBC Wales, which is quite an interesting case because it makes Welsh language programming under its mandate, but also makes Doctor Who, which is the biggest science fiction series in the world at the moment. Is there something to be learned from that?
Oh, they have been the pioneers for Indigenous broadcasters like Māori television, like NITV over in Australia, a whole range of broadcasters around the world. But it's changed from the 1980s when I went to work there. It has become more commercial, if you like. The cultural imperative isn't as strong as it used to be. There has been a lot more programs made for the international market. So it is a business rather than being a language broadcaster, having the language as its core business.
Neither the other event that I can think of that maybe has something in common with your kia ora moment is Henewehi Mohi singing the anthem in Māori.
Yes.
What did you make of that?
Oh, I think she's an extremely courageous woman, and she's an amazing artist, apart from being an amazing mother as well. And she took the stride, and she was instructed not to. And most Māori women do as we're told, but not all of us.
Hone, I think that's an example of maybe the way that we're hearing and using Māori in the media at the moment is in a ceremonial fashion. It's the language of greetings. If you listen to Morning Report in the morning, you'll hear it. Is that enough?
No, it's not. But it is a start. I mean, I find it odd to hear someone say, "Ane ngā pito pito kōrero o te ata." I thought, what the hell's this? And listened again and heard it all the way through the morning. And I thought, well, at least they're giving it a go.
Well, I think the thing I
token.
like is they sound like they're enjoying it.
But they are. If you know the people that are doing it, you can understand that how much work they'd put into doing it and making sure they get it all correct. But
they were well trained. I know who trained them.
It's still not enough, though, because it's kind of like saying, well, here's the hangi, you can have the smell. We'll eat the meat somewhere else.
Well, Winnie, you are in a different position than, say, Morning Report, because you need people who don't just say hello, they actually deliver the news in Maori, they can report. Has that been difficult to find those speakers who are also journalists?
Incredibly difficult. And finding it difficult to find Māori language news gatherers, we're also, again, obstructed by the fact that there's a very small pool of talent out there in sports and politics and health and education, the whole range of areas that Pākehā News can easily dip into. We have to really work hard to find someone who can make sense of an issue, who can analyse, maybe provide expert commentary on something like politics. And it's really, really hard for us to do that. And so not only are we dealing with a pool of Māori news gatherers who may need some support in scripting and translating their scripts and all that sort of thing that goes with the job, on the other hand, we still have this problem of not having a complete range of expert commentary in Te Reo Māori. So, but we do it. We've always done it.
How does the language relate to tikanga? Are there ideas that can only be properly expressed in Maori?
I think so, and I think that it's wrong of us to expect people to talk in English if they're more comfortable about expressing their opinions in Māori. But that's a good thing about Māori people. We're bilingual. We can understand English and Māori, so that's fair enough. But even with the kia ora issue with Naira and the hinewehi issue, it's people can, and it's probably just a small 10% maybe of New Zealand population, they're always going to get up in arms about it. But at the end of the day, maybe after a year or so, you wonder what the heck was the fuss all about. Naira's still here. Kia ora was being used before Talbot came and Muldoon came to politics. And Naira and kia ora still here.
Yes. Oh, well done all of you for all you've done for the language. And that is our show for this week. Thank you to Naida Glavish, Hone Ka and Wena Harawira, and to our other panellists, Gary Gottlieb, Carl Dufresne, Rick Ellis, Michael Carney and Scott Bartlett. And thanks to you for watching. We'll be back with Media7 at the same time next week. Until then, goodbye.